Hi everybody, today I am going to teach you how to thread a needle, tie a knot at the end, and sew on a button. I think knowing how to sew on a button is super important throughout your entire life because buttons fall off of clothing and we need to know how to sew them back on. So the first thing you're going to need is a sewing needle, not a pin. This is a needle. You can see it has a hole at the top and it's pointy at the bottom. And then you're going to need some thread, and I'm trying to do mine in a variety of colors so you can see everything. So I already cut a piece of thread, and you are going to cut the end if it seems fuzzy, and then put the thread through the eye of the needle. That hole is called an eye. And when I sew on a button or a snap or a hook and eye, I always do double thread. And you're going to want the thread ends to be the same length. So let's see if I can do that. Come on. Just keep working it till they're the same, and then move the rest of it down so that it's nice and there's no bunching. So here I have my thread ends. This is a foolproof way of getting a knot. A lot of people don't know how to tie knots onto thread. Sometimes they tie them right here, and that means only your needle will go through. The knot is so the thread will stop going through the fabric and you'll have a knot on the inside. So what I do, and you can watch this a million times while you're doing it. Stop it. I'm right-handed, so I'm holding my needle in my right hand. With my left hand, I take the end of the thread and pinch it between my thumb and forefinger. Again, here's the end of my thread. Pinch the end of your thread right here between your forefinger and your thumb. Then wind this 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And you'll notice when I wind it that I'm not taking it over here and winding it. I'm winding it with my fingers really close to the end of it. So 1, 2, 3. Once you've done that, there you go. I hold it with my thumb and forefinger and I pull it through gently. And I have a knot right here every single time. So if you don't end up having a knot, just try it again. This is what I do when I'm showing you in class. I'll do the knot for you and then I cut it off, because the only way to learn how to do it is to do it yourself. It's great to watch people do stuff and you can learn some things that way, but once you do it yourself, you'll have it. So again, hold the needle in your dominant hand, right or left. Pinch the end of the thread between your thumb and forefinger. Wind this around, and it doesn't matter which direction you go. Hold those wound threads with your thumb and forefinger and gently pull the thread through. Don't let go until you feel like you've gotten to the end. And again, you can see that I have a knot. It works every single time if you do it correctly. So if you've tried it and it doesn't work, keep watching. Just rewind it and keep watching me do it over and over again and practice, 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 practice. That's what will make it easy for you, is if you practice. So once you have your knot in the end of your thread, I have given you a little strip of fabric. This I just took out of my recycling. And then a button. Some of them have 2 holes. Some of them have 4 holes like this one. And some of them have what's called a shank. I couldn't find a big one with a shank in my supply. Let me look again. The shank is a button where there's no holes on this side of it, but on the back there's this part that sticks up with a hole in it. And so if you look through all of your clothing, oftentimes on jackets, you'll find them like that. Here's a bigger one where there's the front of my button, and then, whoops, it's like brushing my hair in the mirror. I know I can hold this. There we go. Then you can see that there's this little plastic piece that sticks up with a hole in it. That will go towards the fabric if you're doing that. But I think I gave all of you one with at least 2 holes in it, if not 4. With the 4, you can either make your threads go parallel with each other, coming up and down, up and down, up and down, and then doing this one up and down, or you can make an X. And I usually do about, I don't know, 6 times. So I can't ask y'all what you want to see. I'm going to do the parallel one. So I place my button down, and in the back, I'm going to go through one of the holes. And I don't know, I'm pretty good at figuring out where a hole is in a button, even though I can't see it from the other side, where the needle is. So what you're going to do is you're going to go up and down. Just keep holding your, sorry, it's hard to do without all my equipment from school. Up and down. I'm probably going to do it 3 times on this side and 3 times on this side. If you'll notice, I pulled it tight on the back because you don't want to have a bunch of loose thread. That's actually how you lose buttons, because they get caught on stuff. So I kind of pull it tight, and then I'm going to poke around, kind of see where I am if I look this way. Or you can look on this side. Oh, see, that was perfect. And where my knot is should be where that goes in. So I come up and I go down. Oops. Up and down. And then I'm going to do 3 on the other side. Sorry, I'm trying to get the camera as far away from my hand as possible in my tiny little sewing room. And then I'm going to do this side. So you're going to do the same thing. What is it catching on? Oh, that got caught in there. Alright. So that was 1, 2. And you don't want super long thread. If it's super long, like look, this is only at this point maybe 8 inches of thread. I know you can't tell, but it's like right there. Because it will get all knotted up, and you don't want that either. So that's my 3rd time. I did 3 on both sides. Just test it out. Does it seem like it's going to stay there if you button stuff up? Hopefully it does. And then if you look at the back side, it's pretty neat and tidy. You don't want threads everywhere and loops. That just means that you weren't pulling it through all the way and that you kind of have a mess, and that could be a problem later. How do you tie a knot? We want to tie a knot in this thread so that it doesn't come undone. Like if you're putting something in the wash, it's rubbing up against stuff and the threads will come undone. So just go under one of these, like this one or this one, and not into the fabric, so you can kind of see I'm just right here. And if I pull this, it makes a loop. And I just put my needle in this loop and pull gently. So you can see I'm pulling gently all the time, and that way I don't have a mess. And I'm going to do it twice. Wow. 100% chance I was going to catch that corner, I guess. So here's another loop. Put my needle through here. Yes, 100% chance. And there you go. And I have little nipper scissors. Cut that off. And you can see it's neat and tidy on the back. And I have my button on the front. So you would do the same for this one that has a shank on it. It would just be, you would come up through your fabric, you would go through this hole in the shank and then back down, and then you'd do maybe 6 loops, and then you would tie your knot on the back also. You're never going to tie your knot on the front of the fabric. You always want knots and stuff on the back of the fabric. So that is putting a button on. So practice, practice, practice. If you didn't like how it turned out, super easy. You just clip the threads, take all the threads out, do your needle again, and try it again. Once you have one that you like, take a picture of it, turn it into me, and I'll give you a grade for doing a button. I think they're like 30 points. I don't have the papers here with me, and I don't have any way of getting them to you, so we'll just say, I don't know, somewhere between 15 and 30 points. And that is putting on a button. Now you have a skill for the rest of your life, and that is what I always want everybody to leave with. Have fun!